In this session, we're going to talk about the nature of advice that we're going to provide to our customers and what we need to do on this particular section. So to demonstrate how we're going to do this, I'm going to use an example, and I'm going to create this example using our classic quote, and I'm going to enter our client's details, and I'm making a client up here, and I might put in their class occupation, and I'm going to add a second life. And then I'm going to click next. Now if you have access to Advicemonster, it gives you two options. Firstly, you are able to run our needs analysis program, or you can go straight into the benefits window and add the benefits into the quoting system yourself. So that's the types of cover, the amounts of cover, etc. But with Advicemonster, I'm going to run our needs analysis. It doesn't matter which option I've chosen, I can always come back the other way. So when I click on Run Needs Analysis, it's going to run me through these 6 different tabs. And firstly, we're going to start off with the nature of advice that we're going to provide to our clients. And firstly, we indicate the date of the meeting. It does default to today's date, but I can change that to any date. I need to indicate the type of review. Is it a new client review or is it an existing client review? And then we come down to the nature of advice. So these are the areas that you're going to discuss with your client and provide advice upon. So these are items such as the types of cover you could have, the amounts of cover you may need, whether or not to replace any existing cover, and to be able to compare prices and products in the marketplace. Now I think it's important to understand that your default position should be with the intention of providing your clients with full advice. Now in some situations your clients may want to limit or restrict that scope of advice that you're going to provide to your clients, and that's okay. So how do we handle that here? We would deselect one of these options, one or more of these options, to suit the situation or your client's actual needs. So for example, whether or not to replace any existing insurance. If your client does not have any existing insurance, you're probably not going to review that, so you could deselect that from that range. If you deselect an option, what happens is that a notes field pops up, and we think from a compliance perspective it's a good idea to add some notes and to explain why you've deselected that particular option. So you have this notes field where you can type in your comments. However, recently we've introduced a new feature that rather than sitting there and typing your notes in, you are able to talk your notes into Advicemonster using this little microphone. I need to click it to turn it on and then click it to stop it. But just to give you an example, you might add a note something like this. Clients have indicated that they do not have any existing cover. However, they have health cover through their employer, which is fully subsidized and covers them for pre-existing conditions. Turn it off, and you can see that in this particular example it's done a pretty good job in picking up everything that I've said. You might want to just tidy that up, and you might want to change the American spelling, but it's a very quick and fast, effective way to get a lot of notes into your statement of advice without actually having to type those notes into it. Okay, so I'm just going to remove that. So just a few other example, the types of cover that you could have. So for example, your client says, look, just talk to me about health cover. I'm not interested in any other benefit or any other types of cover. I just want to know everything about health insurance. So you might deselect that particular item and just focus on the health insurance aspect. Comparing prices and products in the marketplace. So if your client is an existing client, for example, and they just want to make a slight change to their benefits or their covers or add a new feature, you might want to not necessarily compare prices and products in the marketplace. You might just want to make a tweak or a change to the existing cover. And this one here, the amounts of cover you may need. So if your client comes to you and says, look, I just want $500,000 worth of life cover just to cover my mortgage. I'm not interested in looking at anything else. So you would deselect that particular option, put some comments and some notes around why you've chosen, why you deselected that comment. One thing I would add is that if you deselect this one here, the amount of cover you might need, you just need to be aware that it's not going to run our needs analysis calculator. You will still be able to run your own needs analysis calculations, but it won't run our one automatically. So for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to assume that we're going to run a full advice process, and I'm going to leave all those options remained as ticked or selected. I'm then going to click next, and this will take us into the objectives tab, and make sure you check out our next video on this, or have a look through our library of other videos that may be useful.